Dairy farmer David McCoy is out early, milking the cows with his son Stephen. Irish milk and butter sell well abroad, but Brexit could change that and hit McCoy's livelihood hard.
We're getting at the moment 32 cents a litre. Ireland is totally dependent on exports, so we're very vulnerable to market prices.
David McCoy took over his father's farm 30 years ago. Back then there were just 5 cows. Now there are 70. The herd brings in almost €15,000 a month. In addition to his farm in the Republic of Ireland, David McCoy owns land north of the border, just 2 kilometres away.
If there was a Brexit, I don't know if that would continue. If we couldn't export our slurry and get our crop back from it, well then survivability would be very slim.
The border between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland runs through the meadow. And of course, it will be the EU's external border if and when Brexit occurs.
This is the border here, where this wire is lined. This side's Southern Ireland, this side here is Northern Ireland. If the border was closed, then we wouldn't fit to access the forage that we'd get from this farm. So it'd certainly leave us, we'd have to downsize our herd.
This is County Fermanagh in Northern Ireland. John Sheridan is a sheep farmer. His sheep do the gardening in these upland moors. For that, Sheridan gets subsidies from the EU. In summer, he can let the sheep out to pasture and doesn't have to worry about them too much. He sells the lambs at the local livestock market. The meat is then exported to the European Union.
If I want to get these lambs now in a Brexit situation, on a hard situation to Europe, by the time I pay the tariffs and by the time I get them there, I'm only going to achieve 225 cents. I can hardly afford to produce them at €4, thanks very much, let alone achieve 225 cents. If that's going to happen, it's a hard Brexit, these sheep go off the top of the cliff.
Sheridan relies on the EU market. For him, Brexit will be disastrous.
Between 30 and 40% of our lamb travel south. So it's 1 million breeding ewes in the north here. So that's around 350,000 lambs in the year.
Sheridan, along with other farmers, local business people and politicians, set up an action group called Border Communities Against Brexit. They've demonstrated in Belfast and at the border. They want special status for Northern Ireland and the border to remain open. In July, the European Parliament awarded Border Communities Against Brexit the 2017 European Citizens Prize. This bridge in Belcoo straddles the border. Hundreds of trucks cross each day. Locals on both sides say they don't want to see barriers and barbed wire like in the bad old days during the Northern Ireland conflict.
For me to go to Belcoo, I had to go through a semi-permanent checkpoint just along the border from the British Army. Then I had to go through an Irish Army checkpoint. Then I had to go through an Irish police checkpoint, which was guarded by an Irish Army. Then I had to go through a Southern Customs. Then I had to go through a Northern Customs. And all the while that was being monitored by a British police station with antennas and cameras on it. So that's what I had to, that's how I got through the border.
Others experienced the border differently. Tom Elliott is an Ulster Unionist. As a former British soldier, he patrolled the heavily guarded border 3 decades ago.
Obviously, there was a very, very significant terrorist campaign. And in the area of Fermanagh, the main terrorists were the Provisional IRA, and they were murdering people, shooting people, planting bombs.
He remains deeply mistrustful. Elliot was against Brexit, but has accepted it will happen. As a unionist, his loyalties are with Britain.
I want to be much part of that much bigger economic community than we would if we were in an all-Ireland state. So I'm clearly a unionist. Any special status for Northern Ireland will certainly weaken the union of the United Kingdom.
The milk is being picked up at David McCoy's farm. The quality of the milk is checked regularly. If it meets EU standards, he gets a bonus on the price.
How much was it?
3,153 litres for 2-day milking.
He's one of 1,000 farmers whose milk is processed at the Patrick Cooperative Dairy. For David McCoy, the European Union has been good for dairy farmers on both sides of the border.